Are we ready? Are
Yeah,
we ready?
yeah.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We do it. We doing it? Yeah.
I gotta say hi.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Edison.
I'm DC.
Welcome to Fem's Reaction. We are watching episode 7 of 180 Degrees Longitude Passes Through Us. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Sorry we're a day late. Everything is happening. We are keen to get onto this episode. I recently read an article just briefly saying how, I think it was an interview with the director, and the director was like really trying to create this project, this series with political undertones or as a political message. And I found that really interesting because obviously last episode we had that political comparison between weighing the mum and In, but thinking about the whole storyline as a political message in terms of the concept of inaction and people being apolitical and letting things happen and not controlling or not giving power to themselves. Things like that, I think, is what the intention of In was. I don't know to what extent, but there's some sort of message being taught or lesson being taught through in terms of a life one in regards to fear and going for things and not just being passive. And it's weird because I don't really blame In or see his passive actions as wrong or, as the cause for all this destruction. I mean, I think the situation is just a really complicated, messy one that in modern days could be communicated better if they weren't so afraid of being together and expressing feelings and stuff like that. And so I guess part of the politics there is the cultural atmosphere for people to come out and how safe they feel about that. But also it's tricky because without In's inaction, Wang wouldn't have been born. I don't know how I feel about everything. I just feel like sometimes things play out and you just have to accept that there was no other outcome sometimes.
It's difficult to say, okay, you know what, I made this bad decision back there or whatever. I think that, and not holding it against In and his inaction and stuff like that, but he made the best decision that he could with all of the information that he had at the time. And he didn't know what was going to come of it, those actions. And that's the only thing. We can only do the best that we can do in that moment. So even if more information comes out later on, we can't really fault ourselves for not knowing what we don't know when we know it. Him kind of like being hard on himself, like, oh, I should have did this and stuff like that. I think he honestly did the best. I think that he doesn't cut himself on that slack. Intentionality. When you're intentionally doing an action instead of just letting things happen and going along with it. Even if you're inactive or you're intentional, you still don't know the best outcome. You can on purpose and you say you're taking charge and you're going to do this and it still turns out a clusterfuck. In had the best intention with seeing his friend to be happy, and he just mistook that for him. Like I said in the last episode, him being happy about being a father doesn't mean he's happy in the relationship. I really think that Wang still would have happened.
Like when
it's
born.
Just that, yeah, I think he still would have been born. It's just that, especially Wang's father really went down when In left. It was that part about him leaving and being away. Wang's father actually visited him and all that kind of stuff. So I think that in the timeline that happened like after Wang was born. So Wang would have still been there. He wouldn't have been what we saw at the end of the last episode. Because I think they'll be co-parenting.
Right. So you're talking about if after Wang was born, that's when the dad approached In and was like, I like ya, blah, blah, blah. And then you think they would have been stepdad.
Would I honestly think it would have been like a little gay family?
But no.
I think that would have been
But you can't date your stepdad. So that's a parallel universe.
No. But no, that's the whole thing. he wouldn't be dating in the other. This is not some stuff on no. I'm talking about in a parallel universe, he would have been his stepdad and they would have been.
And then the relationship
father.
they built would have stopped any incestuous stuff. As
Yes,
opposed,
it wouldn't have been.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, in another universe, you can date your stepdaddy because you don't know them.
Right. And
Right.
that's this universe because there's not stepdads or anything like that. He didn't grow up. He don't know you. Child, who are you? Right. But yeah,
I don't know what they did.
broke up.
They made it very ambiguous. But I think it's just graying the morality of everything. I think the intention was to show that something happened, but we're not sensationalizing the act because the morality is still up in question. You know, like similar to how you would have a romantic scene, you would indulge in it because it's a positive thing that happens. But I think by removing it and keeping it off screen, we don't get that automatic, oh my gosh, it's happening. We get sort of the post-sex vibe, which is like, oh, was that a good idea?
But they still did it. But
exactly,
there's another thing that they still did it. Like, and I know it wasn't gratuitous, but also this series isn't a gratuitous one.
The mum is coming back. I think it'll be interesting to see how she reacts. What I like is that the show is messy. I like it because it really gives you an opportunity to not be on anybody's side, but you're equally empathetic to everybody. You know, I want In and Wang to be happy and I want them to get together, but I also want Mole to be happy. And so what that looks like is complicated because if In takes Wang away, that's Mole losing the men in her life twice to the same person, which is juicy and dramatic, but tragic. I want to see how they resolve it.
The thing I do want to say about the mom is that she was a force of nature and she kind of stole him from In. She was intentional about it and she was kind of not forced away, but she made a way and took the father away from her. She took him first. So I'm not saying it's revenge, but then also, but the father wasn't there. You can't take something, you can't lose something that's not yours to lose. So I know she's going to feel like that, but
okay,
it's
a technical element. And there's no bad guys. That's what I'm saying. It's just messy. Like, that's good. I don't think it's a show where we're villainizing a certain person because that gets boring. In some cases, it is, you know, right and wrong, like Jimmy Tele. But in other cases, it's ambiguous. This bridge ain't getting built, like, but it symbolizes their connection, I assume. It's still halfway in shambles.
And they're wearing the same colors.
ที่ผมตามหามายาวนาน
His real father?
ถ้ามัน
No.
เท่านี้
Oh my god, her trophies.
Oh.
I love how it just sort of gives off her vibe that she is self-indulgent but proud, and I root for that.
ทดสอบสะพานแล้วพลาดนิดหน่อยถ้าไม่คำนวณพลาดก็คงน้ำหนักขึ้นน่ะ
สถาปนิกมือรางวัลอย่าให้ใครเขารู้เชียวนะอินจะบอกให้นะบะหมี่รวมมิตรของพ่อคนนี้เนี่ยนะมันก็คือเอาขยะที่เหลือเนี่ยเอามาเทรวมกันในหม้อ ไม่ท้องเสียก็บุญแล้ว
เขาทำให้อินกินเหล้าอินบอกว่าอร่อยจนกลัวจะจิตใจเอาละให้เป็น
Oh my god, her face and that little, there was like a little sound effects.
ฉลองให้คุณศศิวิมลคืนนี้ไงได้ครับ
I like how everything is like bright and beautiful, but there's still this like electricity of danger, uncertainty.
His mom ignored it the first, like when we were like seeing them like looking at each other and stuff like that when they first arrived. But now I think she's finally cluing in.
แวงไม่ได้อยากท่องเที่ยวเพื่อความรื่นรมแ แต่แวงอยากจะหาความหมายของอะไรบางอย่าง
Oh, okay.
Honestly, if I didn't major in international relations and sociology, it'd probably also be philosophy. It would have been philosophy.
Do you connect with Wang?
ภูมิศาสตร์เพราะอยาก
She connects with Wang.
แต่แวงอยากจะใช้ความสามารถพิเศษนั้น หาพิกัดอะไรบางอย่าง อะไรบางอย่างนั่นคืออะไรฮะ แวงรู้อยู่แก่ใจดี ผมอยากรู้ว่าอินรู้ไหม
I don't know what it is. What is it? What is he searching for?
ความหมายของชีวิต
Okay, well, we're all doing that, babe.
ความรัก
Place where your heart belongs.
ถ้าผมจะย้ายมาเรียนที่นี่อายินจะว่ายังไง
Oh.
จ้าหนุ่มๆถ้าสุภาพสตรีจะขอร่วมวงด้วยสักคนจะรังเกียจไหมจ๊ะ
This is what she did to CM.
ก็ยื่นไมค์มาเลยจ้า แล้วก็ถามว่า คุณศศิวิมลคะ การที่คฤหาสน์ทรายเงิน ได้ละครยอดเยี่ยม เฉือนคู่แข่งละครวายอีก 4 เรื่องเนี่ย
Homophobia.
จะทำอะไรบ้างคะ
Homophobia.
งงเลยสิคะ แต่ดิฉันเนี่ยนะคะ ก็ไม่ใช่นางงามที่จะ
Actually, this could be so meta
It's
because
kind of
this could,
ไปแบบสวยๆ
yeah, this could win over the BF.
It is pretty much.
ตอนที่เรามองเห็นจากปรากฏการณ์ต่างๆ ก็ย่อมไม่เหมือนกัน คืนนี้ดิฉันได้รางวัล ภาพสะท้อนของดิฉัน ก็ย่อมงามตามมุมของดิฉัน ขอย้อนถามน้องกลับไปดีกว่านะคะว่า แล้วในมุมของน้อง ภาพสะท้อนของน้องเห็นอะไรบ้างคะ เท่านั้นแหละ นางคงคิดว่าลงล็อกของนาง แล้วนางก็เอื้อนเอ่ยวาจาที่คิดว่าคมซิเต็มประดาว่า ก็สะท้อนสังคมไทยที่มองความหลากหลาย
ว้า
ประเภทในฐานะความบันเทิงเท่านั้นนะสิคะ ที่ไม่ได้ให้ค่า แล้วก็ไม่ยอมรับในชีวิตจริง
That's biting.
โยงเก่ง นางคิดคำถามมาไว้ค่ะ นางคงคิดว่าฉันจะหลงกล แล้วก็จะตอบไปว่า มันไม่เกี่ยวกันหรอกค่ะ มันขึ้นอยู่กับคุณภาพแล้วก็ความปราณีตของงานมากกว่า อย่างนั้นเหรอ คืนต่อไปอีก 4 เรื่องแหกฉันแน่นอน
Sure.
แล้วหมด
Alright.
ดิฉันคิดว่า รางวัลไม่ได้สะท้อนนัยยะทางสังคมหรอกนะคะ ละครต่างหากที่ทำหน้าที่สะท้อนสังคมสมบูรณ์ด้วยตัวของมันเอง การประเมินรางวัลของคณะกรรมการเนี่ยนะคะ เป็นการประเมินคุณค่าของละคร ไม่ใช่ประเมินคุณค่าของมนุษย์ในสังคม อย่าพยายามโยงทุกเรื่องให้มันเป็นปัญหาเลยนะคะ เหนื่อยเปล่าๆแล้ว
Oh, okay.
สวยๆกับกล้องสอง
ปรบมือสิครับรออะไร
That's very complex.
นี่คือ
I don't even know what to think. What?
แต่เอาจริง ผมก็เห็นอย่างที่นักข่าวคนนั้นเห็นนะ สปีดที่บนพูดตอนรับรางวัลน่ะดีมากเลยนะ ใช่ไหมแวง
Right, in his
หน้าประทับ
doing the political pushovers thing
หน้าประทับ
by not acknowledging the problem.
นักข่าวคนนั้นเขาว่าไงต่อ
นี่ตลกมากเลยนะ มีนักข่าวช่องหนึ่งนะ เขาถามฉันว่า คุณศศิวิมลละครเรื่องใหม่ไม่คิดว่าจะดัดแปลงให้เป็นละครวายบ้างเหรอครับ
เรื่องสลักจิตน่ะเหรอ
ก็ใช่นะสิ ลองคิดดูสิว่าสลักจิตเปลี่ยนเป็นเด็ก รักอเดียว โอ๊ย
น่าแปลกใจมากเลยนะ ที่คือ คุณศาสิวิมลไม่แตะเล่าเลยสักที
Oh no, that's
นี่นี่พูด
that's
อยู่คุณเล่น
dangerous.
เห็นว่าไหน เล่ามาซิว่าฉันไม่อยู่2 วันเนี่ย
Oh.
บ้างเข้ากันเป็นปี่เป็นขลุ่ยเชียว
Well, you know,
เป็นชิ้นเป็นอัน เรียนรู้กันมากกว่า
แล้วแวงล่ะ เรียนรู้อะไรจากอาอินบ้าง
oh, I learned that he,
เยอะมาก
yeah.
He likes biting. I don't know. Like, oh god.
งั้นก็
That like she did come here to work on her project, so
พ
True.
รุ่งนี้ เราขอจัดการเรื่องอาหารจากโรงแรมให้นะ
ไม่คิดไม่ฝันเลยเนาะว่าจะได้กลับมาเจอกันแบบนี้อีก มือกุมมือ กุมมือ เหมือนเพิ่งผ่านมาเมื่อวานนี้เอง
This is spooky. What is going on?
Okay, yeah. Uh-oh. He's made his mind up about going to changing his major and coming there to school
มีเรื่อง
and being with you.
เซอร์ไพรส์เขาถึงได้ลากเข้ามาถึงตรงนี้
เขาอยากเรียนหนังสือ
I mean,
knew it.
technically, he's doing what she wants, though. So,
Yeah, but not where she wants. And he's not doing who she wants.
นี่
let's stop here.
มีเรื่องเซอร์ไพรส์เขา
Okay.
เอาเถอะ รู้ตัวช้าไปปีนึงก็ยังดีกว่าไม่รู้ตัวเลยเนาะ
Not at all. It's just 1 year.
Actually, I mean,
I did a year and I started again.
อู้ตัวเองอยาก
I went back to school.
ก็ดีใจทั้งนั้นแหละ
จริงนะ
And look where we are.
ปรัชญาตัวเองเป็นปรัชญา
ในสัญญาที่พูดไว้
ก็เขาก็ไม่ได้โวยวาย
เขาจะย้ายมาเลยที่นี่
ทำไมต้องที่นี่
Uh-oh.
เขาชอบที่นี่ สงบดี อากาศก็ดี ตัวเองก็เห็นไม่ใช่เหรอ
แต่ว่าที่บ้านเรา
The music is so good
ตัวเองย้ายมา
here.
ที่นี่เนี่ยนะตัวเองก็ต้องกลับไปใช้ชีวิตเด็กหอใหม่นะ
เปล่า เขาจะอยู่ที่นี่ กับอาอิน
Uh-oh.
อะไรนะ
เขาอยากอยู่กับอาอิน
Uh-oh.
Oh.
อินทวุฒิหลอกล่อตัวเองเหรอ ฮะ กรุงเทพมีที่เรียนตั้งเยอะแยะ ไม่เห็นจะต้องตะเกียกตะ
อาก
าย
อิน
มา
ไม่ได้หลอกล่อ เขาอยากอยู่ที่นี่เอง
บ้านเรามันอึดอัดมากนักเหรอ อยู่กับเขามันอึดอัดมากนัก
เป
เหรอ
ล่า ตัวอย่าวกเข้าเรื่องนี้สิ มันไม่ใช่ว่าเขาอึดอัด
ตัวเองอึดอัด ตัวเองแค่อยากจะออกจากบ้าน
พูดไม่รู้เรื่องแล้วอย่าเพิ่งพูดเลยดีกว่า
ทำไมจะพูดไม่รู้เรื่อง ก็พูดมาสิ พูดมาให้หมด
พูด ตัวอย่ายอมรับฟังยอมเข้าใจไหมล่ะ
ก็พูดมาสิ
เขารักอาอิน
Oh my God.
จริงเหรอแวน
He said it like that?
นี่ไม่ใช่
What?
นี่ไม่ใช่เรื่องเซอร์ไพรส์ที่ตัวจะทำให้เขาใช่ไหมฮะ
Wow.
ตัวเอง ผิดหวังในตัวเขามากใช่ไหม
Just rip the band-aid off. Whew.
ตัวเองแน่ใจแล้วเหรอ เขารักตัวเองไม่ดีพอเหรอ เขาดู
Oh.
แลตัวเองไม่ดีพอเหรอ ตัวเองถึงไปอ
มั
ย่าน ง
ไม่
นี้
ใช่ความผิดของใครอ่ะ เขาก็แค่รักใครสักคน ไม่สำคัญว่าคนนั้นจะเป็นผู้หญิงหรือผู้ชาย
แต่เขาคืออินทวอด
What? But he's your friend.
You know what?
She knows everything. That's what she knows.
ฉันไม่ค่อยสบาย
I think that the father came home and told the
ไม่
mom.
ได้
Ah.
Now the bars are dividing them again.
หลายคนในสังคมที่ดูเหมือนว่าใจกว้าง แต่ถ้าเลือกได้ เขาคงไม่เลือกให้เกิดขึ้นกับครอบครัวเขาเอง จริงๆก็คือ คนรุ่นเขาไม่ได้ยอมรับ แต่แค่ยอมทนสำหรับศาสิวิมลมันไม่ใช่แค่นั้น ไม่ใช่แค่ที่แบงชอบจะเป็นผู้ชาย หรือผู้หญิงแต่เป็นอาอินอาจจะกลัวว่าความสัมพันธ์ของเพื่อนที่ไม่ได้เจอกันมานับ10 ปีจะขาดสะบั้นลง จริงๆมันไม่เหมือนเดิมมานานแล้ว มันขาดมานานแล้วไม่ใช่เหรอฮะยังรักษาอะไรอยู่ ผมอาจจะอายุแค่นี้ อาจจะยังมีเวลาอีกมาก แต่ผมต้องรอไปจนถึงเมื่อไหร่ฮะ ผมต้องรอจนกว่าคนที่คิดว่าตัวเองเป็นเจ้าของโลกจะล้มหายตายจากไปก่อนงั้นเหรอฮะที่โลกไม่ได้เป็นของใครอย่างแท้จริง เด็กคนที่เพิ่งเจออินได้ไม่กี่วัน
Dates! Right! It's only a few days. It's only a few days.
อยากรู้จักอินมาตั้งไม่รู้กี่ปี อยากรู้ว่าทำไมพ่อถึงรักน้องชายคนนี้มาก
Good. Use your dad. That'll manipulate him better. Okay.
อยากรู้ว่าถ้าผมได้พบอาอิน ผมจะรู้สึกเหมือนได้ใกล้พ่อมากขึ้นไหม แต่เปล่าเลย เมื่อผมพบอาอิน เหมือนผมพบพ่ออยู่ในตัวผม
That's what he's afraid of. Right?
แต่ผมไม่เหมือนพ่อ
Oh, good.
ที่จะยอมปล่อยให้อาอินหนีไปอีกหรอกนะ
That's kind of spooky.
ผมรักอาอิน เหมือนที่พ่อรักอาอิน
I don't think that's what In wants to hear.
ให้ผมได้ดูแลอาอินแทนพ่อเถอะนะฮะ
But I think that's what In thinks he wants. That's what Wang thinks he wants. There's just so many things going on, and I need to just like process everything that's been happening. And I don't know if it's like because this episode, and I read that article that this was a political show, but now I see it so present in everything that's happened so far. First, with that scene just then, I thought it was quite harrowing. I mean, Wang is so desperate to get through to In, and I don't know what's going on with In, but I feel like In is still afraid that there's some trauma there because his feelings for the dad didn't go well. And I don't think In wants to see Wang as his dad, but Wang thinks he can convince In to love him because In loved his dad and he wants to use that. And I'm getting confused because my interpretation is that Wang is getting sort of lost and kind of frenzied in this desperation for in that he thinks turning into his dad will get him that love, but also that he thinks that he can heal In through showing him the same love that his dad did. It's really boggling me because I can see Wang just not thinking properly. In would feel responsible for Wang thinking that he needs to live up to his dad. So there's something about In where he's being positioned as a person of inaction and someone who is more of a diplomat. Even in the conversation where the mum was being challenged about politics, In was kind of placating her point of view and the whole sort of political system where there was a valid political concern from this reporter, and then Mole, as the sort of representative of a government, kind of saying, oh no, everything is fair, there's no discrimination here. You don't know if any discrimination played into it, but it's still present, and I don't think it's fair to discount her achievements because of it, but also not speaking about it doesn't help.
The reason that Wang is now desperate and acting desperate is because he went out there and he's in now a desperate situation because his mom knows, and he went out there, he just told her without thinking about it. He's like, I just told my mom this was the plan, don't leave me out here by myself. So I could see where that desperation comes out. He's invoking his father to wake up Wang, to be like some smelling salt, like the mint inhaler that they always have on the BLs, just to wake him up.
I don't think the mom is like homophobic per se, but I think she reflects the current attitude of Thai culture, which is what she was called out on, which is that queer people are only utilized or given value when they're entertaining. I do feel that in the BL industry, that they only appreciate queer people when they fit a certain narrative, which is to be a form of entertainment. And I see that in how she treats Elsa, her assistant, because she's very like haggy. Is that okay to use? She's very like, you know, you're my bestie. The thing is that we're only tolerable when we're being funneled through a specific lens. And that's been throughout queer history because there's been a certain type of acceptable queer person. And that's been growing bigger and bigger. But even for like rights and stuff, it's always the most heteronormative cis people that have been used as Trojans. And the whole we're just like everybody else thing is I know that's annoying, but like that's sort of been the strategy to open up acceptance and tolerance. Wang did lay it down and was like, people don't fully accept us and all of us. She did find it funny, you know, the concept of an uncle younger person relationship when it was queer, but she was, you know, thinking that it was romantic and dramatic when it was straight. So I do think that's indicative of how she might look down on certain relationships. That is probably the current feelings of a lot of people, not just in Thai culture, but maybe across the world. But I can see how Wang's speech was very referential to right now the marriage equality movement in Thailand and having the government and dictate your rights and stuff. And it was sort of that element of Wang going to you don't need to be trapped and held by people who don't or shouldn't even be owning your life. So it's very invigorating and interesting how all the political messages are weaved through it. And it's only through that I can get a sort of insight into the commentary that's even being made about BL industry and queer people as a whole. So
they have no power because they also don't own the world, which is it was one of the lines I was like, okay, well, that's a great line. That's a great point. It's about giving credence to those people and to society when society in and of itself doesn't have any power over you unless you give it power. And I think that's also the difference of generations.
I know a lot of movements or whatever, you have to hit critical mass. And so a lot of this is talking about recognizing the power that everybody holds in their ownership of the world. You know, why is it that certain powers get ownership when if we all work together, we could change systems and etc. And so that is, I think, a conversation across everywhere when it comes to change. And it's weird because like Wang obviously is trying to break through the apathy, but I know that's one of the messages, but that's not what I'm seeing in. I feel like In's just conflicted and I want to know why. I think there's a really big running theme of night and day. I know it's like not super obvious, but the night and day is being used as when we talk about things. I feel like at nighttime everything dramatic has happened, but now Wang is bringing it towards the daytime, which is like bringing it to light. I feel like I need In to say something. I need to know what's going on in his head. But I get that sort of like paralyzing feeling when you have no idea what to do. You're just
I think In is still cautious about which words and what he's going to say.
เขาบอกว่าเขารักอิน
Why did you seduce my son? Oh, okay.
แวงเป็นเด็กขาดอยู่โรงเรียนประจำมาตลอดฉันอาจจะไม่ใช่แม่ที่ดีที่สุดแต่อินก็รู้ว่าฉันรักลูกมากแค่ไหนแวงขาดพ่อเขาคิดถึงพ่อเขาไม่เคยได้ใกล้ชิด คนที่อาจจะมีลักษณะคล้ายพ่อแต่พอเขามาเจอกับอินแล้วยิ่งรู้ว่าอินผูกพันกับพี่สยามเขาก็เลยคิดว่าเขารักอินแต่ฉันคิดว่าเขาแค่หลงอินเหมือนเด็กติดผู้ใหญ่ฉันคิดว่าเขารักอินแบบนั้นเขายังไม่ได้ถลำไปถึงขนาด
Is that what he's afraid of? I feel like that's very valid. That he's worried that Wang does see him as if he's only loving him because he needs a father figure or whatever.
That is very valid. I haven't.
It's like a good argument by her. Like, I am impressed.
แม่ทุกคนต้องการให้ลูกมีชีวิตที่สมบูรณ์แบบเธอรู้ไหมเธออาจจะคิดว่าฉันเป็นคนหัวโบราณคร่ำครึโลกมันหมุนไปไหนต่อไหนแล้วเรื่องแค่นี้ทำเป็นรับไม่ได้แต่หัวอกคนเป็นแม่เรื่องของ
Okay, so I was wrong.
เคยเป็นเรื่องแค่นี้ไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องเล็กแค่ไหนในสายตาใครก็ตาม
I didn't want her to be this way. I thought she was just self-absorbed.
She is self-absorbed, but she's also a mom.
อินเธอเป็นคนที่เข้าอกเข้าใจมนุษย์ไม่ใช่หรอในขณะที่ฉันชีวิตฉันเจอแต่ความพลาดหวังผิดหวังในมนุษย์จนไม่เหลือใครให้เป็นความหวังแล้วแต่แวงเป็นความหวังเดียวที่ฉันเหลืออยู่ฉันสูญเสียเข้าไปอีกคนไม่ได้ฉันสูญเสียพี่สยามไปแล้วถึงแม้ว่าฉันจะบอกกับตัวเองว่าชีวิตฉันต้องเดินต่อไปต้องก้าวต่อไปแต่ไม่ได้หมายความว่าฉันจะลืมมันได้ฉันสูญเสียแวงไปอีกคนไม่ได้ฉันไม่เหลือใครแล้วนะอิน
และทำทุกอย่างเพื่อมนได้เสมอ
ก็เพราะรู้นะสิฉันถึงพูดกับอินอย่างเปิดใจฉันไม่เหลือใครแล้วจริงๆ
It's like she's just all about Wang not losing her life, and then she is this type of transference where she's saying, well, I think, which is a very valid thing, I think Wang is missing that thing in his life, and he's putting that on you and maybe the obsession with you and stuff like that. However, what I'm hearing is also, like she said, she separated, but she didn't get over it. And she's doing transference of the father on Wang, which is why she's fighting so hard for him not to leave. I hear her saying, okay, but I'm a mom and stuff like that. But it's still about her and her being afraid of that hurting.
ถ้าอินรักฉันรักแวงรักพี่สยาม
Oh, she's good.
Yum.
She's not all glammed up. So.
I know. Oh, the storm.
My God. What is going on?
เขาว่าจะกลับกรุงเทพพรุ่งนี้
But what about the party?
แล้วงานเสาร์นี้ของมนล่ะ
โทรไปยกเลิกแล้วพอดีมีงานด่วนก็เลยคิดว่ารีบกลับดีกว่า
น่าเสียดาย
อีกอย่างเกรงใจอินด้วย
บอกแล้วไงไม่ต้องเกรงใจ
เราพูดกันแบบตรงๆแบบไม่ต้องเสแสร้งกันได้ไหมครับ
ก็ไม่เห็นว่าจะมีใคร
เรากำลังเสแสร้งกันอยู่นี่ไงเราทุกคนนี่แหละ
นี่แวงอย่าไร้มารยาทแบบนี้นะ
ไร้มารยาทแบบไหนเรารู้ก็อยู่เต็มอกว่าตอนนี้สถานการณ์เป็นยังไงจะมาแกล้งทำเหมือนไม่มีอะไรเกิดขึ้นเราเรียกว่ามีมารยาทงั้นเหรอ หนีความจริงต่างหาก
พอได้
ตัวเองย
แล้
อ
ว
มรับความจริงไม่ได้ไง ถึงได้อยากกลับ
เขาไม่ได้หนีทำไมเขาจะต้องหนีเขาคิดว่าเราควรกลับ
เราควรกลับเหรอ ตัวเองถามเขาสักคำหรือยังว่าเขาอยากกลับหรือเปล่า
แหวงต้องกลับ
เขาไม่กลับ ตราบใดที่เราไม่เผชิญหน้ากับปัญหา ไม่แก้ปัญหาด้วยการเอาความจริงมาพูดกันอย่างตรงไปตรงมา
ฉันไม่สนใจความจริงอะไรทั้งนั้นนะ ฉันมีแต่ชีวิตจริงที่อยู่มาได้ แล้วก็ต้องอยู่ต่อไปให้ได้
อยู่และหนีความจริงที่หนีเท่าไหร่ก็หนีไม่พ้นไงล่ะ ตัวเองหนีความจริงตั้งแต่เรื่องพ่อ ตัวเองไม่กล้ายอมรับความจริงว่าตั้งแต่พ่อถึงตาย
Oh.
ผมโง่ขนาดนั้นเลยเหรอ ตัวเองคิดว่าเขาไม่เคยสงสัยอะไรเลยเหรอเราจะโยนความผิดทั้งหมดให้พ่อ แล้วบอกว่าพ่อเป็นคนขี้เมาแล้วขับรถพ่อได้เหรอพ่อแล้วตัวเองพ่อนะพ่อรู้ว่าทุกคนไม่อยากพูดถึงพ่อเพราะมีบาดแผลในใจด้วยกันทั้งนั้นน่ะ เห็นไหมล่ะครับว่าแผลนั้นมันยังอยู่ ไม่มีทางเยียวยาให้มันหายไปได้ ถ้าเราจะไม่พูดถึงเรื่องนั้น ถ้างั้นพ่อจะรับฟังเรื่องของผมได้ไหมครับ พ่อไม่อยู่กับผมแล้ว ผมรักแม่ แต่บางทีแม่ก็ไม่รู้ว่าผมว้าเหวแค่ไหน ผิดไหมครับ ถ้าผมจะทักใครอีกสักคน คนที่จะเติมเต็มส่วนที่ผมขาดไปได้ ผิดไหมครับ ถ้าคนนั้นเป็นผู้ชาย ไม่ใช่ผู้หญิง ผิดไหมครับ ถ้าผู้ชายคนนั้น ชื่ออินทวุฒิผิดไหมครับ ถ้าเขาคืออินทวุฒิคนเดียวกับที่พ่อเคยรัก
Baby steps. Baby steps.
ฉันเขียนเส้นของกลางวัน ให้เรามีเพียงตะวันส่องแสงนานแค่เดินที่มืดมนผ่านกลางคืนที่ร่วงโรยหล่นฉันอยู่ไม่ไกลไหม
Now he's alone
ฉัน
again.
ลากเส้นแบ่งวันให้เส้นนั้นโอบล้อมเราโอบกอดเธอและฉัน
Shit.
แต่ถ้าฉันลากเส้นแบ่งวัน
Oh my god.
ฉันไม่รู้ว่าฉันกับแหวงหลงมาติดอยู่ในไอ้หุบเขาดึกดำบรรพ์นี้ได้ยังไง
แหวงอยู่ของมนใช่ไหม
เปล่าไม่ได้อยู่กับฉัน นี่เขาหายไปไหนของเขานะดึกดื่นป่านเนี้ย
ใจเย็นๆนะมนสางคำกำลังตามหาอยู่
แหวงขับรถออกไปแบบนั้นน่ะพี่สยามก็ขับรถออกไปแบบนั้นแล้วเราก็ไม่กลับมา
It's a fake out. He's not gonna die. It's fine.
Wow, that is another episode of 180 Degrees Longitude passes between us. Another one.
What did he say he knew about? Was CM leaving her to go back within? Is that like the whole thing that he said he knew about?
Wang didn't want to be alone. He was afraid of being alone. And he pulled up his binders and he jumped from his mom. And he was kind of hoping that En would be there. But En ran away too. And just that visual of him being alone again and in so much pain. It's very interesting that the mom doesn't want Wang to be gone because then she would be lonely. But Wang is feeling lonely when he's with his mom.
I mean, yeah, Wang was like, do you think I'd believe you when you said dad died drunk driving? Is there more to the dad's death?
Don't see, this is the whole thing about this. We can speculate, but then like it could just like totally be wrong. And we got 2 more episodes, and
We got one.
just like,
So next episode is the
What?
finale.
what? Oh my god!
This is one of those shows where you're like, why is this show 8 episodes and everything else like 14? Like,
right. And I guess it also shows the brashness of Wang, who's just like saying stuff. He just says stuff, and I guess he says stuff with the best intentions, and that, you know, hearkening back to that conversation that he had with In about why do you care about what other people think? They're not even the ones. They're not the ones who own this world. And that's where he just comes out and says this stuff, and where In is more. I get the In staring out into wherever and measuring what you're going to say and how you're going to say it and which words you're going to say and things like that. I understand that because I sometimes sit and think about my next word and like how it's going to be instead of just blurting it out and just saying it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, can't say that.
okay.
But and I know that, and especially when you're in a heightened place, you talk less, and you want to be careful of the words that you put out. Seeing that night and day between them. Also, the thunderstorms was back, so I knew that was going to be something like that.
I think I
Yeah.
relate to Wang more in that situation because it's so frustrating when things are happening around you. None of the causes are being addressed. The elephant in the room, I think, needed to be aired out because they were just going to brush over the trauma, which is what they've been doing their whole lives, and it's what is representative of her career, you know, creating these fantasy delusions instead of acknowledging the problem or even talking about it. It is very hearkening to life where there are injustices happening or there is discrimination happening, but people don't talk about it and they just let it get swept over because it's easier or palatable to just talk about the weather or whatever. And so I like how the character has continued, because this was him throughout the show, and them never really resolving the issue with Siam and what really happens is core to the relationship. And you can really feel the tension in that the relationship for Wang is like a life raft, but it's so fragile, you know? And Molly's so afraid that any sort of truth is going to shatter her illusions of life. I feel like he did what was necessary. The thing about the dad loving In was huge.
And I think this is where they could meet someplace. In thinks about his words and what he's going to say and things like that, where Wang doesn't think and he just says it. And if he could have been a little bit more strategic instead of taking a shotgun, more like a scalpel to cut things out instead of just like a shotgun or a hack or something like that, a little bit more precision in saying those things and picking those words. And it's not avoiding, it's being strategic and to get out the best outcome.
But the thing with like when you're sparring with somebody who is good at deflecting, it's annoying to have to navigate someone else. Sometimes it's better to just blow things up and then, you know, fight amongst the rubble and be honest and get your emotions out there. Because both the characters for him have been frustrating in terms of digging at their core. Because you can feel how much tiptoeing they're doing and all the eggshells. You can tell that they're masterful at avoiding things because they're reliant on politeness and conventional norms being upheld. And it's so frustrating because I feel it in relation to when you talk about these issues, even politically with like people who might be conservative, they'll twist things around. And I'm just like, just admit you're a jerk. Like,
because it's not as simple as just going up to somebody and yelling in the face and saying you're a bad person. There's a lot of deep work that goes into that. Just to say, okay, you just blow it up and rip it up, and that is flashy and stuff like that, but that doesn't get to the real root of systemic change. And all of that work is heavy lifting that doesn't just take for one time, but it's a constant heavy lifting that grinds people and grinds their bones.
So you not agree with how Wang did things, or he had a day to fix this? I get why he was desperate.
For him to come out and say it like that is because it was a shock to him, because he thought that they were going to have the party. Then his mom changed it and he felt attacked. And when you feel attacked, you go on the attack.
I think Wang did what Wang had to do. One of the more emotional bits for me is, I think, when people let go of their facades. Before dinner, Wang was so chirpy and so bubbly, trying to ease the tension. But the moment he said he was lonely and was vulnerable and admitted his feelings, it felt very powerful. And Mo does something very similar, in which she is very vibrant and she has this persona that's very cheerful, but then she's also feels the same. I didn't really feel that Wang was lonely until that moment. Like, I didn't really get that was at his core as well.
I knew that he was lonely, but I didn't understand how much of a core thing it was.
What do you think of In lastly? Because I am not getting as much out of him as I am understanding the other two. I think we get segments of the potential struggle that he's going through, but ultimately I still have a hard time understanding where or thinking about what decision process he's going through. Is he going to stand up for Wang and tell Mo that he can stay? Or I guess that's what he's currently going through, right? On being pulled either way. I don't know what he is. He's just staring and thinking. And I'm like,
he's keeping his cards close to his chest. I think it could go either way, but I really feel like I want him to not do exactly what he did in the past. And if he was going to be what he was in the past, then he would have pushed Wang away. I really think In may be a Libra, because he may be slow in making decisions, but I feel like he's going to weigh out the best decision and he's going to make the correct one in the end. So
it's so silly that we're both Libras. I feel like we're the Libra team on this channel. Just like analyzing both sides.
I think what he's weighing right now is where his heart wants to be, and that's with Wang. And even with all of the muddying that Wang is doing to get him there, he's already there. But then now he's logically, the thing with Mo said about, like, he has that fear. Like, does Wang really love me, or is it just an obsession? Is this the right thing to do? Wang even said, well, I have my whole life ahead of me. I don't want to wait and all this other kind of stuff. Am I, and this is always the thing, if you're older and you're with somebody who's younger, am I taking this life away from this person? You know, I've had that chance to have that wild thing and all this other kind of stuff. Am I robbing something from him? And so he's weighing out all these kind of things, and he's thinking about all these kind of things. I think that he will eventually say, okay, hey, let's try this. I want him to come out and say, let's try this. But I really think that's all of the things in which he's weighing. And the way that Mo said that, it gave him an additional thing to think about.
There are so many factors, that's true. And also the fear for me would be, is Wang only thinking that he's in love with In because he feels a sense of connection to what his father felt, and that's a way for him to be closer. So that's also very difficult to process. And so there must be so many thoughts going through In's mind, especially because he can see how much this situation is going to hurt his best friend. And so he's not used to making decisions for himself. Like, he's already caused her enough pain indirectly. And so it's going to be so difficult for this situation to get resolved until Mole comes to some sort of peace within the situation. And that's going to be really difficult to do in one episode. I don't even know how she's going to resolve everything within herself, especially because I feel like her fear is so valid. I would not know what to do in this situation. It's so hard to be selfless when the consequences of your actions is letting someone go. I mean, I hope there's some sort of resolution where bridges aren't burnt. Oh my god, are we gonna get a burning bridge next episode?
Oh no!
I feel like
the lightning from the storm hits the bridge.
There has to be an outcome where she can still have a connection with the sun, and then her still find joy and companionship that isn't solely reliant on the sun. I think she needs to learn how to trust other people to not betray her again.
You did bring up an interesting point that which we haven't talked about. Is how
I was trying to wrap up the video.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but you keep talking. It's fine.
No,
I'll just edit all night. It's good.
We talk about the parallel between the son and the father, but we don't talk about the parallel between the son and the mother. That's another kind of word that we could talk about another time, because I think the parallel between those two is there, and maybe she can find the solution through how similar they are and seeing herself in him or whatever. I don't know. But I'm not going to make this video any longer. This is it for 180 today's episode 7. Tell us what you thought and all that kind of stuff. And so that's it. I'm done talking.
Thank you everyone for watching. Please let us know your theories as well, and who you empathize with the most, I guess, out of everyone. I really don't know myself. I think equally I understand everybody's point of view, which is what's so beautiful about this show. There's no heroes, there's no villains, it's just very vulnerable people. And I think life is like that as well. Usually. Hopefully we'll see you next week for the last episode. I'm quite worried that it's the last episode. I want more. But yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Bye everyone. Until next week.